my name is Tshidi Madia from Team Eyewitness News. It is election season. Lots of political parties are still launching their manifestos over the past weekend. Days ago, 3 political parties launched their manifestos. Into this coming weekend, 2 more will be added to those who are putting up an offering to citizens ahead of the May 29th elections. I was a little bit interested in the Freedom Front Plus's manifesto. So they speak about how they offered a manifesto in all these languages, right? Saying that they'll not only address their supporters in Afrikaans. I couldn't see beyond that. But I also wanted to look at their manifesto to see what a growing FF Plus is trying to offer the electorate. If you think about 2019, they were actually one of the interesting stories in terms of performance. They sent the DA into a tailspin, with the DA still trying to chase voters that went to Freedom Front Plus and is unable to get them. So I thought, let's look at a little bit of what they've got on offer. So my takeaway from the FF Plus manifesto is that it's really still a party stuck in the past. It's still very much obsessed with race relations, race politics, and can't see beyond that. Some might argue that it exists for the interest of the minorities and cannot move beyond that, and that it shouldn't because that's its base, I suppose. But what of a country with over 60 million of us, with so much diversity? What are we offered in this manifesto? I'm not sure. It does recognize, mind you, that diversity is actually an asset in our country. They speak about access to equal opportunities. You must read that for exactly what it is. If they speak of equal opportunities, you can take a lucky guess of how they feel about triple BEE and affirmative action type of policies, how they feel about transformation when they speak about equal opportunities. They support the idea of Cape Exit, which is really wild to me. Cape Exit with whose country? They say that registered voters in the Western Cape should be afforded the opportunity to express their views, to self-determine. Again, I ask, with whose country though, right? Because the idea of Cape Exit really is like Huitlapola, and it's a different thing altogether. With whose country? I think people have this weird fallacy that Western Cape doesn't belong to South Africa or in Africa. Unfortunately, it is. When we say 9 provinces, it's a part of those provinces. So I think that's silly. When you speak about self-determination and your policies speak to segregation still, I don't know if that works, you know. They speak of things like community councils, which I also find, again, incredibly interesting because they speak about securing cultural autonomy. Again, they speak about, and this speaks to things like education, health, sports, heritage. Do we not come from that? Is that not what we had with apartheid? Was that a policy of segregation? I'm very confused. They speak about national minorities exercising self-determination. Again, they want to make an argument that this is not racial segregation. If it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, guess what? You, my friend, are looking at a duck. And so these are my struggles, right? For all the work that they've done to grow themselves. And I saw the turnout at their manifesto launch. So a lot of black people there. I don't know if those black people are engaging this manifesto, because the black people there in this country are the majority. And here's a manifesto that actually does not speak to you and I's existence. Here's a manifesto that rejects who and what we are in every way. The issue of abolishing BEE and affirmative action, they then say they prefer skills development and quality education. Absolutely, those 2 things are crucial. But how do you get there when the system that has been in place for so long was by design meant to make sure we don't get ahead up? So how do we get to your view of equal opportunities when the opportunities to learn at the bottom are still not equal? I don't understand that. I think it is very important to poke holes in how the ANC has governed for 30 years, and they do that quite effectively. I think it is crucial to look at ANC policies and find their shortcomings. But I am struggling to see how you want an equal playing field, if the DA is the same, when actually what you're putting into that is not the same. This race is not from the same starting point. And that remains the case in this country. And I keep saying, I'm a black woman speaking to you. If some of those policies did not exist, if transformation was not forced down the throats of companies, I would not be here. If transformation was not forced in schools, if segregation was not forcibly pushed out, I would not be here. The fact that I have to actually say it is irritating. They also speak about parent and community mother tongue education. I actually like the idea of mother tongue education, where it not suggested or assumed that it's purely just about one minority language, but strengthening all mother tongue in the country in order to make sure that there's representation. If a Stellenbosch battle between Afrikaans and English or anything else did not happen, I'll take this part seriously. But unfortunately, it has happened, so it's very difficult to believe that this suggestion comes from a good place. Ideally, it should. Ideally, comprehension is better in your mother tongue. Ideally, you also communicate yourself better. So I struggle a little bit with the ideas because for me, this manifesto by and large still promotes segregation, yet it recognizes that diversity is an asset in this country, but it doesn't work towards making sure there's some cohesion, right, between these diverse groups. So that's my battle. They do speak about the energy crisis. They speak about a lot of the issues. So the things that we are bothered about as citizens, they too are bothered about, correctly so. They speak about energy, where they believe you need to upgrade and maintain the electricity transmission grid. They believe in renewable energy. They also want to see the finalization of the ESCOM unbundling. It's been a project that's still at it with our government. They believe nothing of value comes for free. I think that's an interesting take. And there they were speaking about bursaries. So government will issue up bursaries, but you need to pay it back in kind. So you need to do your part. So they speak about that. Of course, they're not happy with the labor legislation at the moment. That speaks a lot to the BEE issues that I spoke of earlier. I found it interesting, their views on agriculture. You can, the drum roll, because it always leads to questions about farm killings. But I found it interesting about agriculture, where they are concerned. They believe that it is under threat in this country, that it is a volatile climate. I don't think they're off the mark there. I think when it comes to food security, we actually have to be concerned as a country, as the rest of the continent, I suppose, in this particular regard. But they then speak about a lack of government support, research, and I think that issue isn't just about agriculture. I think that's an issue that speaks to many things. If you speak to multiple experts or academics, they speak about the lack of research poured into the different sectors and issues that the country is dealing with. So I take that wholeheartedly. When it comes to crime, they are also correct. It is a threat to all of us. These high levels of crime are concerning. They speak about the importance of getting crime intelligence right. They are absolutely correct. Of course, I did speak about farm killings. They believe that it's more dangerous in this country to be a farmer than it is to be a policeman. I'm not sure. I was looking at the most recent crime statistics that show about 22 officers have been killed. And in the farming communities, you see the number that says 107. But if you zone in on that, it's only 3 farmers. So what are they talking about? Read the manifesto, make up your mind. Maybe to you I'm off the mark, absolutely. But to me, the FF Plus exists for the minorities, and that's exactly who they're catering to with this manifesto.